And welcome. This is the Rochester Board of Education, and today is Thursday, March 26th, and this is the Board of Education Business Meeting. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order and begin with an act of reverence to the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. We will at this time call on Commissioner Feynman to lead us in the pledge. Thank you, Commissioner Feynman. So we're going to move on to Clerk Nguyen, who will begin with the roll call.
Good evening, President Simmons, Vice President Malloy, Commissioners. We'll start a roll call. President Simmons,
Present.
Vice President Malloy,
Present.
Commissioner Feynman. Present. Commissioner Griffin,
Present.
Commissioner LeBron, Commissioner McCullough, Commissioner Santiago.
Present.
That concludes roll call. Thank you.
You don't mind continuing with the Board of Education upcoming events, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. The board will hold the following meetings for April 2026, beginning with a work session on Tuesday, April 7th at 6 p.m. The following week, we'll hold the first budget deliberation session on April 14th, also starting at 6 p.m. And then the third Tuesday of the month, we will hold the speaker forum and public budget hearing together, beginning at 5:30 p.m. The board will move into the week of, continuing that week and meet on Thursday, April 28th for the monthly business meeting at 6 p.m. And the board will conclude the month of April with its second budget deliberation session on Tuesday, April 28th at 6 p.m. All reference meetings will be held here at Central Office in Conference Room 3A3B, located at 131 West Broad Street. Individuals wishing to speak at the forum or public hearing may do so by calling the board office by noon on the day of the meeting. At the time of registering, you must indicate your name, your affiliation with the district, address, and item that you wish to speak on. Speakers are provided 3 minutes. For those using translation, you'll be provided up to 6 minutes, 3 minutes for your speaking, and the remaining 3 minutes for translations. Again, you may register by contacting us at 585-262-8525 or Board of Education at rcsdk12.org. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move forward on the agenda toward the acceptance of the minutes. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion to accept the minutes for the February 10th work session, February 26th business meeting, March 10th work session, March 17th code of conduct public hearing, and the speakers forum for March 17th.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Griffin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and minutes are approved. Moving down on the agenda, we'll look at the Advisory Council report, starting with the Student Advisory Council report. I don't think we have one this evening, which is okay, but I do know we're going to hear from you later on, Mr. Espada, and so we appreciate that you've taken time to be with us this evening. We also have the Bilingual Education Council report that we will make available, or it should be available on board docs for your viewing, excuse me. So take a look at that particular report. At this time, we'll take a brief moment. The board may convene into executive session to discuss matters leading to the appointment, promotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of particular persons, and pending or current litigation with general counsel. May I have a motion to exit into executive session?
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Santiago. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? At this time, the motion carries, and we will move forward into executive session. We'll be right back. Okay, thank you and welcome back to the Rochester Board of Education Business Meeting. Again, today is March 26th, time check 6:38. We're moving forward on the agenda and we're looking at board reports. We're going to at this time turn the mic over to Superintendent Rosser for our Finance Committee report.
Yes, I'm going to have Mr. McDowell step to the podium to share with the board and our community our monthly Finance Committee report. Mr. McDowell? No, we can't.
Is that better?
Thank you.
Got it. Okay, so just like previous months, we were going to give you a brief overview of our financial statements so that you can have an idea of where we stand financially. So cash flow, at the end of January, we had about $447 million in the bank. February is a very slow month for us when it comes to receipts and intake of cash. With that being the case, we had more disbursements in February than we did in more disbursements and receipts of about $12 million. So our ending cash position is around $434 million and some change. In regards to our revenue summary, and you'll see that on the next couple pages, we had some increases in grants. One was a rollover, or most of them are rollovers, for Title I, and then for OTBA or DA, and then the rest of our adjustments to awards. So again, our grants team is doing a great job in finding new opportunities for us and getting us other sources of revenue. The next slide just talks about the general fund and our special aid fund and the changes in those funds. Nothing major for February. Letter C here, appropriations by function. Here's the same situation that we've had in the last few months where general fund, not a major change in total, but our encumbrances and our expenditures still have not reached 50%, and we're 5-6 months into our school year now. And sincerely, when you say we only have 10 months of the school year and 6 of them have already passed, we should be somewhere in the 40 to 45% range of available monies. But more importantly, when you look at our special aid fund, most of our charges are payroll. And when Thank you. Unfortunately, you see that we have not expended as much as we should have at this time. Conversely, what that means is our cash flow is not as high as it could be because we can't send the reports to the state to get reimbursed. When you move to our bank statement ledger, which is the slide coming, it does show that you have the $434 million in the bank. And the good thing for us is about $345 million of that is in the highest interest earning bank account that we can have in it, which is NICLAS. That represents about 80% of our money. The whole goal is to increase that percentage, and we have in the city of Rochester has helped us to increase those percentages from what they were before. Your next slide shows the cash flow statement itself. The highlighted areas there in green show the $434 million that we have in the bank at this time compared to what we had last year, which was $422 million. You have a chart here that shows your cash flows, and you can see that they're very similar to what we had last year, but we just wanted to give you a graphical illustration. And then we move into your revenue summary, which gives you an idea of what we've brought in so far. For the general fund, we're right on target. January is a really good month for us. We get a large portion of our state aid in January, and also March, we get another large portion of state aid. So what you'll see is our cash flow balances will increase in March because we receive about $200 million in state aid in March. If you continue down the PDF here, You can see again with the special aid fund that we have $125 million that we have been approved for, but only about 29 million of it has been allocated to us so far. And then for school lunch, most things are on par there. $26 million budget, about 10 million of that has been received, and we'll apply for those monies as we continue to serve our students. You can keep going. So you start to get into our general fund, and this gives you a cap-sized version of our original budgets, our current budgets, and then what we've expensed and what we've committed and then available. Again, for the most part here, for your general fund, for your special aid fund, and for your school aid, school food service fund, everything is pretty much on target, except for some of our payroll issues. They have not resonated into this spreadsheet here. Our next 15 to 20 pages are all your general fund budget transfers. And I remember one of the board members asked a couple meetings ago, do all of these balance? They do, and most of them are within each, within departments. So, you know, that we may need money in one line, but we don't have it there, but we grab it from somewhere else. Most of them are not being taken from other departments. And the last slide we have here is your charter school breakdown. And we are pretty much on budget for charter schools. We've allocated about $120.7 million, $120.7 million, and right now we're projected to spend about $121 million. So we don't expect to see much of a change there, and fortunately for us, as long as it stays here, this won't have a major impact on the general fund. Any questions?
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open the dais for any questions. With no, yes, Commissioner Feynman?
It's come to my attention through my kids that some of the kids are leaving charter schools and coming back to our district. Are we following to make sure that other kids that are in charter schools, do we have any way to find out if the kids are actually attending schools?
We actually do. So we reconcile every 2 months before we make the payment of what students are actually in each school. So if we see one of those students come back to us, and then one of the school that they previously were at, we're trying to charge us for that, we then disallow that from the bill and we pay accordingly.
Thank you.
And this is probably along those lines, but a little disconnected, so this may not be the appropriate space for this conversation, but I'll put it out there anyway. In regard to the charters, Commissioner Feynman mentioned, I know disproportionately, or at least my belief is disproportionately, the students that do return are students that they're unable to service, that have exceptionalities or additional needs. And I would love to get a trend and also see how those dollars are allocated, like what that looks like once they return, and if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
What we can do, we can provide the board with a report that outlines student transiency, you know, particularly coming from the charter schools, you know, what grade level they are at, whether or not they have any exceptionalities, and then correlate that with a financial report as well. So we can prepare that and share it with the board in a future meeting.
Wonderful, thank you. With no further questions, thank you. It looks like Commissioner Griffin has a question.
And thank you, President Simmons. To add to that, I would like to know how many of the students that go to the urban suburban actually have special needs, and how are they selected? I would like to know the rates of that too, as far as those children that are leaving.
Okay.
Are they just taking the best students from our district? I would like to know how that works as well with this
Yeah,
urban
Commissioner
suburban.
Griffin, if you can provide me with an opportunity to, work with the team to see whether or not we track that information with urban, suburban. Once the students are admitted into that program, I need to determine whether or not we still track data on those students. So I'll need to check with my executive director of accountability to see whether or not we have that information available.
Well, the money follows the student, so we do must have something as far as some data for that child, because the money still follows the student. We still provide transportation for them as well. So that's why I'm questioning it. But yeah, I would like to see that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we spend about $12 million on charter school transportation.
Altogether, I'm saying with the urban, suburban, and the charter school, that is money going out because the money follows the child. I would like to see the data regarding the urban, suburban, and how they selecting the students. Are they just picking our best students, or or some of the students have challenges? How does that work out? I would like to see that data as well.
Okay. And you've already responded to that. So were there any other questions or statements regarding the financial report? With none at this time, Superintendent Rosser?
Thank you very much, Mr. McDowell.
Thank you. We'll move forward on the agenda with the president's report. I'm just going to give a brief
Excuse me, President
synopsis.
Simmons?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Motion to accept the
Oh, yes,
unaudited
thank you
March
for that.
and the Student Activities Fund report, which is also attached.
The student activities.
Yep, so the motion would be to accept the unaudited March 2026 financial report and the Student Activities Fund report that is
Oh, the
also
student
attached.
activities fund report, that's also located here. Okay, I see it. Okay, thank you. Okay, so entertaining a motion to accept the February 2026 financial report, or March financial report package as stated, as well as the student report that is also attached there.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy. Second by Commissioner McCullough. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It feels like it's been a long time. It's only March. And so, yes, it was just a few short weeks ago, we were in the state capitol lobbying for all of the things, public schools. Hurrah, hurrah. But I think we did a pretty good job, and we were joined by the Big Five districts, which we are very much a Big Five district, and our state delegation was present, and we received a lot of support and a good conversation there. I was able to join Superintendent Rosser, as well as our head of communications, as we navigated the state capitol, along with other, again, Big Five districts. What I do want to use this time for is to just kind of give the board a pulse on the direction we're going as far as our professional developments and so on. So we know we just had one last week. We have another fiscal training scheduled for tomorrow, which is March 27th. Around April 7th, the Council for Great City Schools will be joining us to go over some of our progress monitoring. I know that's been a hot spot and something that we all are very interested in getting in front of, so further development will be happening there around April 7th. April 19th and 20th, we'll also be with the Council for Great City Schools, where we'll work on our board self-evaluation as well as fine-tuning the superintendent evaluation and so on. We know budget deliberations and all of those things are coming up. Also, Governor Hochul was here yesterday. Some board colleagues, as well as myself, were able to, and administration were able to be present there to hear some of the things that she's got coming up. Commissioner Griffin, McCullough, as well as Santiago were able to attend, and so we'll be looking for more opportunities to be involved. And Commissioner LeBron was also present at that particular event. So as I'll kind of turn it over to Dr. Rosser at some point to talk further about those things. But that concludes a brief snapshot of the president's report at this time. I'm going to turn the conversation over to Superintendent Rosser, who will, and State Monitor LSA at this time.
So thank you very much, Board President. Yeah, we have been engaged in a lot of advocacy work looking at ways in which we can advocate for additional funds to be appropriated to Rochester to be able to address the evolving needs of our school district and more specifically our children. As you mentioned, as the board president mentioned, we were in Albany a few weeks ago. I had the opportunity to do some advocacy work in Washington, D.C., articulating the need for there to be greater funds, particularly coming from our federal government in our title funds, as well as our funds for students with exceptionalities. What I would like to do as a part of just keeping our community informed as to where we're at with the budget process, we're making good headway in providing greater opportunities for our children to really maximize their potential here in Rochester. I will share with you that my February 26 preliminary 26-27 budget is not the final budget, but it's a preliminary budget based upon the Governor Hochul's budget. We all are aware that there are going to be changes reflecting updates in revenue that will alter the preliminary budget. We had the opportunity to provide our state monitor with a report on March 2nd, in which we made public that really showed, based upon the governor's executive budget, if we were to adopt that budget today, what our current state here in the Rochester City School District would look like budgetarily. The preliminary budget reflected a framework, a commitment to continue to uplift a student-centered approach that increases our impact on student outcomes in and out of school environments. And through that process, we remain focused on advancing student success by investing and maintaining focus on strategic priorities, placing more certificated teachers in the classroom, creating greater efficiencies through staffing and program alignments, eliminating non-essential expenditures, as well as looking at the long-term financial stability of the school district. What you will see and hear when our state monitor comes to speak in response to our preliminary budget, we've also, since that time, we've identified what our 5-year financial forecast will look like. And I will share with everyone that if we do not make changes today, that we're looking at a situation that financially we do not want to be a part of. We need to make sure that we're operating in a way that continues to support our children, but doing so responsibly. And the state monitor will speak a little bit about our financial forecasts in a few moments. Our preliminary budget, next slide please. Our preliminary budget really focused on early literacy and strong academic foundation, student engagement, belonging and well-being, equitable access and meaningful family partnership, staff support, stability and professional growth, safe, reliable, and effective district operations. These guiding principles were brought together through our engagement with our entire school community. In the fall, we had opportunities to speak with individuals in community forums. We publicized a survey asking our community to articulate what should be those areas that we prioritize in this budget. And while I have articulated, while we see advances in the investments, we also are still finding ourselves, based upon the preliminary budget, not having a budget that fully supports the greater needs of the Rochester City School District. Some of the things that we've engaged in to realize additional funding to be able to support staffing, particularly in the schools, such as our social workers or school counselors and others, is we're still going through the process of looking at central office reductions, looking and evaluating our contracts with our vendors, reducing our leasing obligations, and also exploring, which we will be having conversations soon with our colleagues with City Council in investing in debt restructuring. It is gravely important that as we continue to journey in developing our final budget, that our community understands that this process is extremely complex. We have the interests of our children first. In connection to that, making sure that those individuals, particularly at the school level, who support our children day in and day out, that they are too supported, and that we are operating in a way that doesn't present an issue similar to what we saw in 2019, where there was a financial calamity that disrupted instruction in our school district. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to our state monitor to then be able to share his response to our February 26th preliminary budget. Mr. Alizea.
Thank you, Dr. Rosser. Good evening, President Simmons, Vice President Malloy, commissioners, staff, and people watching us on the internet. Again, thank you for the opportunity to share my feedback on the budget. As you know, as part of Chapter 56 of the laws of 2020, the Board of Education annually needs to submit to the district proposed budget to the monitor by March 2nd this year, because March 1st was a Sunday. And the monitor must review the proposed budget to ensure that it's balanced within the context of the revenue and expenditure estimate and mandated program, and to ensure that it's consistent with the approved district academic improvement and financial plan. Some of this information was already shared by the superintendent. The budget process this year began in October. There were some public forums that the superintendent held in the community. There was also presentations that he shared with the Board of Education during the month of November, December, and January. So every month he was sharing that information with you about the status of the district and the anticipated revenues and the projected gap. Also, there was meetings with the cabinet. There was a retreat of the cabinet to go over the priorities, community feedback that included community forums, the Bilingual Education Council, the Children's Agenda, the Student Leadership Congress, Ibero, and he also had communications and conversations with you individually. The budget development took into consideration the priorities of the board, the goals from the strategic plan, the stakeholder feedback, the state monitor academic and financial plan, the consent decree, the special education corrective action plan, and the bilingual education part 154 corrective action plan. Again, as the superintendent shared, I'm not going to go over every single one of them, but the initiatives include increasing ELA and math proficiency in the district. And we know that when the strategic plan was developed, that was one of the priorities of the board. We want to see our students reading on grade level, and we want to see an increase in the score. They want to increase extended learning opportunities for the students, because sometimes students may need an extra support before school or after school. Expansion of the community school programs, because educating our future, our children, is a responsibility of the entire community, not only the Rochester City School District. So this is the opportunity to work with different agencies, to bring them into the school, to provide services not only to the schools, to also to the families. A reduction in central office staff, a reduction in contracted services, and improving leadership capacity through professional development. When we look at, and when I look and the fiscal consultant, when we look at the revenues that were shared with us, we can see that last year, there were a total of $965 million in revenues that the district used. That was the adopted budget. The budget that was submitted to me and the fiscal consultant has a draft budget of $1.003 billion for the year 26-27. So in order to provide all the services and to get to that dollar amount, the district is asking, the superintendent is asking to use $23.8 million from the fund balance in order to balance the budget. So that means that is a 3.87 increase from the budget from last year, a total of $37.3 million more. When we look at the expenditure or how the district is going to be expending that money, you can see that a lot of the money is going into compensation, benefits. 80% of the district budget is people, the staff in the district, the benefit that they get, the equipment that students are going to use, the contractual services that we have for transportation, for charter schools, supplies. So you can see how the district is planning to expand that $1.003 billion. And again, going back, that money, the commitment in the budget is to continue an investment in early literacy. We want our kids to be able to read by third grade. We want our kids to be able to be proficient in math. We want to continue to support our students with special needs, support our students, English as language learners, continue to provide professional development for the staff, increase the school-based allocation. That is something that the superintendent is recommending this year that has not been done for quite a few years. And some students will see a $10 increase, other students will see a $20 increase, and other students will see a $30 increase. So we can see that buildings will receive more money to support the students in the buildings. The alignment with the strategic plan is to maintain reading teachers and intervention prevention teachers and instructional coaches in the building. The action take place at the building level. So we want to make sure that the support is at the building level to provide that support. Expansion of the career and technical education pathways. We want to make sure that we are preparing students for the future, but also for job employment opportunities that are going to be available in the city, in the county, and within New York State. To strengthen multilingual instruction and language support. Again, expansion of the community school program and the expansion of restorative and behavioral support model for the students. Some of the information that was shared with me is the number of staff that the district is projecting for next year. When we look at the general fund, special aid funds, the school food service, capital project, last year we had 5,666.6. Let me take that back. This year, not last year. This year. The proposed budget is proposing 5,648.8 employees, a reduction of 18% positions. And you're probably saying, only 18 positions? What is happening? Well, the district has been working very hard to reduce some positions, and it's not about reducing position, it's about right-sizing the district. Looking at the number of students that we have and the services that we need to provide, and aligning the numbers of staff with the number of students in the district. So there was a reduction of position, but there was also an addition of 72 positions for special education services next year. When we take into consideration the number of positions from next year and 83 positions that were added this year in special education, we can see that that is an area that the district needs to focus on, do an audit, and look at why there's an increase in special education services in the district. And believe me, I'm not saying that we're doing something wrong. I'm saying that we need to look at the student population, the services that we're providing. Are we placing students in the least restrictive environment? What are we doing to provide the services to our students? I'm not denying the services. They need the services. We need to provide the services, but we need to look into how the services are being provided. This is a little slide that got my attention and hopefully is going to get your attention this evening. And this was shared in the 5-year fiscal plan that was submitted by the Finance Department. When we look at the revenues for last year, we saw the 966 million. When we look at the revenues for this coming year, it's 977. But we need 1,3,237 and 207 to do business, to continue to do business for our students, for our staff, to our families. So there is a gap of $23 million that the district is proposing to go into the fund balance. When we look at the fund balance, we know that there are two separate accounts. There's a restricted or unassigned. Restricted is assigned, that the board already made a commitment on how that money is going to be spent. And unassigned is money that the district has some flexibility. So the district is proposing to use $12.4 million from the assigned budget, that is for contract, that is for negotiations, and $11.4 million from the unassigned budget. Again, that will leave the district with $174.3 million in the assigned balance, fund balance, and 114.7 for a total of $289 million. Looks like we have money in the bank, right? But look at what is being proposed and what the district need for the 28-29 school year, 29-30 school year, and 20-30-31 school year. If we add that dollar amount that is in red, the district will go bankrupt again. The district will be broke in terms of using the unassigned fund balance. And like Dr. Rosser mentioned before, the year 2018-2019, the district went bankrupt. They had a deficit of $27.4 million. You don't want to be in that position again. The following year, the state came out with a bailout for the district. They let you borrow some money. And again, I have to commit the district and the board for the work that was done before, because 2 years ago, you were able to pay back that money. The money that was the spin-off from the lottery, that money was paid out, $25 million. But when you add this red dollar amount, the Rochester City School District, the students in the Rochester City School District, the staff in the Rochester City School District, the administration in the Rochester City School District, and more important, the Board of Education in the Rochester City School District will be in trouble. You won't have the money. So these are recommendations that I have based on that budget that was shared with me, and it's to continue to right-size the district, align the resources according to the student enrollment. This is not a new recommendation. If you go back to the financial plan, recommendation number 5 and recommendation numbers 4 and 5 address this concern. Develop and implement a plan to recruit and retain students back to the district. I just heard Commissioner Griffin asking about the urban-suburban. I have heard people talking about charter school. What we need to do is to make sure that we continue to provide quality education to all the students in the Rochester City School District. And when that rumor is out there, they will come back. I just had a meeting with one of the commissioners today, and she was excited because she already said that, kids are coming back. So if we have quality programs, if we are providing the services, if we have the community school models, if we have certified quality teachers, not only certified, quality teachers in the classroom, and people can see what is happening in the Rochester City School District, you're making the front page of the paper that, great things are happening, they will say, I want to be part of that again. Continue to evaluate contracts for effectiveness, especially transportation, and contracts that are not producing positive outcomes for the students. It's part of the training. It's about student outcomes. So if people want to come in and provide services to our students and to our staff, and we don't see the result, as I said in the past, we need to do an evaluation and get rid of those programs that are not making a difference for our students. Provide adequate funding for the schools in receivership and support for the new school in receivership. We have some schools that are very close of coming off the list. We want to make sure that the support is there. We want to make sure that there's a new school. We want to make sure that the support is there for that school so they can provide the opportunities that the students and the staff need to come off receivership. Develop a report for the board, and this is for the administration, to develop a report for the board and the public that shows the new additions and reductions in the budget. There's nothing too high. We want to be transparent. We talk about transparency, so this is the opportunity for the district to be transparent with our community. Review the budget that has been allocated for compensation. I know that there's going to be new hires. I know that the salary is lower in many cases, especially if they are coming into the district with no previous experience. But we need to look at the money that has been allocated for compensation. And when I talk about compensation, it's not only compensation right now, it's that the bargaining agreement that the district is working on for the next 3 or 4 years. We want to make sure that there's funding included in the budget for those negotiations. You saw the red regarding the fund balance. Monitor the fund balance and develop a plan for the use of the fund balance. The conversations that I have had with the superintendent about the fund balance is that if the district gets extra revenue, that money will be reinstated back to the fund balance. And we need to have some conversation. We want to provide quality education, quality service to our students, so we will talk about that. But we made an agreement that we will revisit, if there are extra funding, the fund balance. Continue to explore other funding sources, other grants that are going to be available in New York. There might be some from the federal government, but mostly New York State other foundations in your state and in the nation, different ways that the board and the district can continue to bring extra revenues for the district. And in collaboration with the state monitor and the fiscal consultant, develop a plan for restoration. If there's extra money, we're here to work with you, to work with the administrator, to put things in priority. And again, priority number one, 21,000 that we have in the district K-12. We also have students in pre-K that there is extra funding, but we want to make sure that there's a commitment that money will go back to the fund balance, but at the same time, we will continue to provide quality education for the students in the district. And last but not least, the next steps is for me to review the changes in the budget. I'm waiting for the budget book that will be available next week. I did receive some other information this afternoon. After I review all that information, I will submit a written report to the Commissioner of Education, to the President and the Commissioners of Education, and to the Superintendents of School. Any questions?
Yeah. So before we entertain questions, I just want to highlight a few things. I want to first of all thank our state monitor and our fiscal consultant for their partnership and assisting us in this journey of developing a budget that is responsible, developing a budget that is student-centered, and developing a budget that really speaks to those things that we know will most certainly elevate student success. I do need to reiterate that what we're discussing right now is based upon the preliminary budget that we presented on February 26. And that preliminary budget, once again, was built on understanding what the governor has allocated or proposed to allocate toward education, more specifically school districts across the state. We recognize, once again, that the preliminary budget that we've developed that is based upon the governor's executive budget does not reflect the final budget that the lawmakers are currently conversing about in Albany. It was shared with me yesterday and confirmed today that there is a great likelihood that we will not have an enacted budget from our state's elected officials by the April 1st deadline, which is a legislative deadline. There's a number of things that they're working on. What was signaled to me is that the things that they're going back and forth over have nothing to do with education, but we're just sort of caught in the middle until such time that they can resolve their conversations regarding other areas to fund. As I've shared in my communication to our various stakeholders, it has been signaled that the Rochester City School District will receive appropriations that go beyond the governor's executive budget. However, until we receive confirmation of the legislative budget, enacted budget, as well as these other revenue streams, we cannot publish and put forward anything other than our preliminary budget. Some of those outstanding budget variables that will impact our budget include final grant funding allocations, federal government funding streams, so what the state is going to appropriate for title and IDA, availability of philanthropic support, some of the things that we're working on internally, our final transportation expenses. We've concluded an RFP for transportation services, and right now are working with the various entities in attempting to reduce our cost that were published in the the March 2nd document. And of course, our work has not stopped. Internally, we're identifying additional district and school level efficiencies so that those dollars that we identify can go back to support student success, be it academic, social, emotional, or wellness. At this point in time, Board President, myself and the State Monitor will entertain any questions of our commissioners.
Thank you, Superintendent Rosser. Thank you, Superintendent Rosser, as well as State Monitor Elisea for these presentations. Very sobering information. I'd like to open the dais for questions regarding either of the reports in which we've heard and within context of the conversation. This is a hand? Okay. Do you have a hand? Is that a hand? Okay. Commissioner Griffin?
Mr. Alizea, question, you mentioned bilingual, but you didn't mention multilingual. Is that, those are two different?
No, sorry, it's all inclusive, bilingual and languages, so it's more than just one language.
Okay.
It's
I
all
wanna
our
make sure.
ELL students.
Right, but I really think it's very, very important that we put multilingual in there because we are talking about a lot of languages, just not bilingual. A lot of people reference bilingual, as we know, just historically, as English and Spanish. We want to make sure that we are addressing all of the bodies in our district. I just wanted to make that for the record. Another concern or question that I have, and let me know if I'm off track. In the budget that we have, and again, this might be something I need to reel in, so let me know. I wanted to know how the breakdown, how it is broken down into the schools for the athletics department. Is that something that is included in that budget as well? And that's what you included in there?
It is included in the budget, but when you get the budget book, you will see more information. This is a general budget that was submitted by areas, but I don't have the details included in the report that it was given to me. But during the deliberations, you will see that information that will be included in the book.
Okay, so if we could put this on the record, can you please note these questions to be added so that we can address these concerns that I have? I would like the athletics budget to be broken down by each school and how much is allocated in the last 3 years to each school and what new programs were implemented during that time. Thank you.
Does that conclude your questions, Commissioner Griffin? I am looking at the slide 15. I believe this is under the State Monitor's presentation. And just again, recognizing this is preliminary. The trend data is concerning as far as the gap and the message was received. And it also has me reflecting on how prudent we were around staying away from using fund balance, and that we are in a position currently that we have to make some strategic decisions to ensure that the district has longevity. But I would that we remain prudent, and I'm glad to know that there's a scalpel-like usage of the fund balance that does need to be addressed at this time. So I do recognize that is the position we're in, but I am quite focused on that gap and would love to see us go back in the other direction. I do see a hand by Vice President Malloy at this time.
Thank you, President Simmons. I have to agree. Just looking at the slide for the future gaps that we are likely to see or that trend over the next 5 years, and that's really alarming. I joined the board back in 2020 after the biggest crisis that we'd had. We'd just laid off 600 employees, and although I didn't have to make that decision, I certainly don't ever want to have to make similar decisions in the future. So this trend is really alarming. We really have to start taking a look at our footprint as a district and right size, as Jaime just said. But it's alarming. I want to see more focused addressing of this negative, or this trend in general. We're going to be bankrupt within 5 years if we do not. And there has been a dependence on use of all of that money that we've, well, not just saved. CURSA and ARP funds really bailed us out during the COVID years, and we can't keep depending on that in the future. So whatever budget ends up coming before us, I'd like to see us, hopefully, right-sizing the district, but then still providing for the needs of our students the best that we can. Thank you.
Thank you. As well stated, is nothing changes unless something changes, right? I want to just take a look and make sure I'm not missing any hands. Superintendent, did I see your hand at all?
Yeah, I just wanted to close out by, reiterating something that you've heard the state monitor state, and he and I and the fiscal consultant have been in conversation. I just want to reiterate something that he spoke to, which is going to be followed, that any increases to the revenues that we're anticipating will require a disciplined approach to limiting the anticipated use of fund balance and restoring essential school-level positions and school and district operational costs. We have to protect our fund balance. Fund balance, of course, is used for rainy days, but when we look at the projection of our financial condition, if we do not change anything today, that the fund balance that we have will quickly be used up. And I don't want, similar to you, Commissioner Malloy, I don't want to ever experience what the Rochester City School District experienced in 2019. As educators, as educational leaders, it is important for us to lead in such a way, making important decisions, sometimes not the popular decision, but making important decisions on behalf of our children and our school district. Some decisions are very difficult, but they're necessary to make so that the long-term stability of the organization can most certainly have the financial resources to be able to actuate our vision and our mission to most certainly activate the brilliance of all of our children, provide them with greater opportunities and access to maximize their full potential, and to prepare our children not only for high school graduation, but for success beyond the Rochester City School District. So as we continue to journey in dealing with this budget, understanding, once again, that our preliminary budget is based upon the governor's executive budget, which is not a reflection of what we are to see in the next several weeks, which will be the enacted legislative budget. It is important that we remain unified and that we advocate, continue to advocate for there to be changes to the funding formula for urban schools, continue to advocate for there to be discipline and understanding at the federal level of the importance of the Department of Education and the funding structures to provide our children, not only in the Rochester City School District, but children across this country with access to be able to utilize education as a civil right to be able to advance socially, economically, and mobily. So, State Monitor, thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you, Mr. Potter in the background, and our colleagues at the State Education Department, who we had a great conversation with earlier today. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Rosser. We're going to move on. And we're looking at consideration of resolutions at this time, starting with consent agenda items. Entertaining a motion to move forward the consent agenda items at this time.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy.
And
Okay, how do we, let me ask about that. How do we move General Counsel or Clerk on the consent agenda? I know that those are purposed for things that we've already vetted and recognize that we will move forward on. If a question does arise, which it is at this time, but it's under the consent agenda, do we just move to remove an item?
To remove the item from the consent agenda to allow it to be discussed, because
Okay.
they are just voted on.
So
I
can
think Dr. Rosser
remove
was,
whatever the item or items may be and discuss them at this time and then, or how does that work?
I would probably move them and then do your consent agenda vote, and then you can
Move them on out of
open
the
that
consent
discussion.
agenda
and
item,
vote on
maybe
it.
into the other resolutions. Commissioner McCullough, which particular resolutions are you referencing? Can't hear you. Use your microphone, please.
464, 462, and 465.
464, 462,
And 465.
and 465. So we need to motion the General Counsel to remove those out. So at this time, we're looking again at the consent agenda items. Typically, these are resolutions that we vote on and move forward with. And Superintendent Ross, I see your hand as well.
Before we do that, I also would like to pull two resolutions, Resolution 470 as well as Resolution 474.
We are on a roll tonight, guys. This is 470 and 474 that are also present on the
They are.
consent agenda. Okay, and we're looking to pull them,
Remove them, not for discussion, but remove them altogether.
Withdraw them from the agenda.
withdraw. Okay, so let's start with the first one. I'll do them separately. Do we have, yes?
I have one more question.
Yes.
I have a question, and it comes back to the presentation that the state monitor just gave us. And for Resolution 476, we talk about international exchange students in here, and it talks about ELL students.
Is this a consent agenda item? Okay, so we'll mark that as well. So what I want to do before we move on.
I have a
with these-
question that might be able to just be cleared up. But if we just, are we going to pull it?
I think we have to remove it from
Okay.
the consent agenda, so that, because it's no longer a consent agenda if we're discussing it, I believe, if I'm thinking about it right. So with that, I want you to, I know what you're trying to do, but we have to do it that way. But I would like to remove it with the others so that we can discuss it.
No.
No, so you don't want to remove
I'll
it?
address I'll put it in the board questions.
Okay.
Because it's only semi-related.
Okay, all right. And just for further, again, just for everyone's, no, this is a technical type of situation, not a will or what have you, but with the consent, we normally just move forward with them. With that said, I'd like to entertain a motion. We'll start with Superintendent Rosser to remove or withdraw resolutions 470 and 474 from the consent agenda at this time. Entertaining a motion
moved.
for that removal or withdrawal. Removed by, motion by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Feynman. All in favor of the withdrawal of 470 and 474 from the consent agenda? Aye. Any opposed? Those items have been removed. Now looking at resolutions 464, 465, and 462, entertaining a motion to move these out of the consent agenda for further discussion. I'd like to entertain that motion at this
So
time.
moved.
Motion by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Griffin. All in favor of
Aye.
moving 464, 65, and 462? Aye.
Aye.
Where will we be moving these on the agenda? Maybe that might be helpful, too.
Print now. Can I go downstairs and pick it up later?
Because they're all academic resolutions,
They all
I would suggest moving it to the academic section, which is next, 8.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Moving these resolutions to the academic resolutions. And we have the vote is on the table, and that was an aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Can I get it on record just to be sure? All in favor of resolutions 464, 65, and 462, moving it to the academic resolutions? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the ayes carry. Those will be moved over there. And then Commissioner Feynman, you said you're going to keep 476 where it is. So at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion for the consent agenda items, with the exception of withdrawal of 470, 474, and the movement of 464, 65, and 62 at
So
this
moved.
time. Moved by
Second.
Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Griffin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda items carry at this time. We're going to move into academic resolutions. We're going to start with Resolution 451.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Griffin. 451 is open for discussion.
451.
No discussion. All in favor of Resolution 451?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And at this time, under academic resolutions, Commissioner McCullough, you raised questions regarding 464, let me do this, 462, 64, and 65?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Let me entertain a motion for those resolutions.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Griffin. Open for discussion.
okay, so I did have a question for those 3 resolutions. They all are the same, pretty much the same type of resolution for planning for summer school, Saturday schools or extended school days. There's some discrepancies that I'm seeing as far as how these are being defined, and I just need some clarity on how these resolutions are being defined as far as the roles and when I'm looking at the executive summary, when I'm reading the resolution itself, it doesn't quite all the way line up. So like, for instance, 464 is written in an exemplary kind of way, but then the other 2 are not. But they are doing the same thing. So I just really need some clarity on that so that I can understand how this is happening.
So, Dr. Wright and Chief Blocker, do you want to, because it looks like these 3, additional pay after-school program planning at Loretta Johnson Middle School, Resolution 464, expanded learning planning at Northwest Middle School, Resolution 465, and 462, additional pay Saturday school programming planning at Dr. Freddie Thomas Middle School, Resolution 462. Can you please come to the podium to address Commissioner McCullough's questions?
Because let me turn that.
I can explain that they were written by 3 different people. I can explain that they were submitted prior with what we felt was excessive hours, and we went back through and created a formula that said the planning hours would only be a certain percentage of the number of hours kids were receiving direct service. So if you look at that, they're for, I think one of them is for 4 hours, one of them is for 5 hours. We're talking about extremely minimal funds because I felt what was turned in before was excessive.
Thank you. But it's not the hours that I'm looking at, because the funds, the dollar amount is not really the issue for me, because I understand what is happening here, but my thing is how they're written. Like you said, they were written by 3 different people.
3 different principals.
So how do we get that to be more consistent across the board as these are being written, so that I'm not seeing something that looks totally different when it's all saying the same thing.
Yeah, as the chief of them, I'll work on creating a standard format that they can all follow, so you can be able to read something succinctly and easily.
That would be helpful, and just for the record, 464 was perfect.
Let's expound on that a little bit, because I like that, and I had the opportunity to have a great conversation, because I too was like, what are you talking about, Commissioner McCullough? What are you talking about? And so I'm going to give you my layman's interpretation of what I received, but understood. And so the positioning was that we are making financial positions, although these are minute compared to some of the other decisions, right? These are digestible financial things. But it was almost like going to a restaurant and they say, hey, it's going to cost you $150 for this meal. And 464, the one you said was exemplary, was like going to the restaurant that said, and for this meal, you're going to get filet mignon, caviar, and some Sauvignon Blanc, right? You're going to get these items. So you knew exactly what that $150 was going towards, whereas the other restaurant said, you're going to get, we need $150 from you, and you're going to get a good meal. And so that's where the discrepancy is. It's just, he wants it spelled out more, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it just
Perhaps
across
some of the
board.
principals don't get to go to those nice restaurants, so they're
You know,
not.
I'll go to those
well-versed
nice
in writing.
restaurants. I'm just
kidding,
dreaming up
Commissioner
here.
McCullough.
No,
I
I get it,
understand
I
your
get it,
point. I'm the
yes.
chief, I'm responsible for it, and I will handle it.
Okay, thank you. But
Thank
once
you.
again, 464, mwah.
She's on top of it.
Thank you, Chief Blocker.
Okay, so with that said, entertaining, were your questions, do you have any additional questions on these resolutions, all of you? Okay, so with that, entertaining a motion for resolutions 451, 462, 464, and 465.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Feynman. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries for academic resolutions. Academics, no administrative. We're moving to HCI resolutions at this time. And this is entertaining a motion for resolutions 478 through 490.
So moved.
By Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Griffin.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I'm sorry, I was looking at something else. I apologize, but go ahead. That's fine.
Okay, so we have a second on, and then we are now open for discussion at this particular time.
I have a question for 482. I have a question for 482.
Okay?
Is that in there?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So here's my question. I just need a clarity of the role for that, because this came up before, and I'm still trying to get my head around what is the role of an associate director of special education? Are these building level positions, or are these central office positions?
Yeah, what I will ask Chief Swan to come up to respond to providing a description of what the associate directors of special education are responsible for.
Thank you.
Our associate directors in the school district are responsible for two main things. Operationally, they're responsible for all of the functioning of the Committee on Special Education and the special education work and compliance work within the buildings that they serve. And then they're also instructional leaders in the buildings that they serve. So they primarily support the instructional needs and practices of these special education classrooms in their respective buildings.
So are they are they in the building, or are they over buildings?
They're in the buildings. They work within
They're
buildings.
physically in the buildings?
Yes.
That's what, okay, because when I was speaking to principals, and it seems like a lot of them have so many questions around special education. If there's special education people in the buildings, I'm curious on why they're not having these conversations within the buildings.
Yes,
So that's
the
why I really
associate
was trying to
directors are
figure
in
out.
the buildings.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any additional questions for Chief Swan? Thank you very much, Chief Swan.
Thank you.
Senator Rosser. Resolutions are on the table, 478 through 490. Were there any additional questions on these resolutions? Commissioner Griffin, I see your hand.
Yeah, 490, I'm having a problem with, sorry. Yeah, I'm questioning 490. This might be something that needs to be addressed in executive session, but I'm having concerns about the resolution for 490. Is this 490? Yeah, 490 I'm looking at. Yeah, yep. There's some amendments on this that I am questioning wholeheartedly. So I think it's something that needs to be looked at, and I don't think we can really talk about it unless we speak about it and my concerns in executive session.
Council Neal, I don't know if there's anything that is specific that can't be discussed, but I asked you and Chief Miller to caucus and just determine, because these are really around amending tenure areas, so it's not as if we're going to be talking about individual employees, to my understanding?
No,
Yes.
we're talking about.
The amendment.
We're talking about the transition from one thing to another.
Okay, I want to get the clarity from them first before we continue.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah, I don't, this is new, so, yeah, no.
thank you for the question, Commissioner. So in January, when those two resolutions were voted upon, an employee made an error in entering the tenure areas. And so this amendment corrects the tenure areas. Those individuals were in those positions, have been in those positions, so they're not changing positions. There was just an error on last month's, or excuse me, January's resolution. This corrects that.
Answering it.
I still have questions. I have questions, but they can be addressed, but I have questions. I'm not voting on that one. But yeah, I definitely have questions about this, because I don't know how I missed it, because I go through and I look at, I don't know how I missed this one, but yeah, because there's some questions I have without getting into specifics.
Thank you, Commissioner Griffin. I don't see any additional hands at this
Can I just
particular
add-
time. Vice President Malloy?
Yeah, thank you. Just to go back to that resolution, if I could, so once again, just to clarify, I want to make sure there's no misinformation out there. These are not people going from the positions listed to a new position. They were already in those positions, but it was mistakenly input as
You don't have to do.
the other position. I just want to make sure that,
That would be correct. So this is simply an amendment to a resolution that was presented to the board, that was approved by the board, and us recognizing that there was a typographical error made by one of our employees in HCI. We are now bringing the resolution back to be amended so that legally we are placing these individuals in their right tenure area.
I do not see any additional hands. With no further discussion, entertaining a motion for 478 through 490, which we already have on the table. All in favor of 478 through 490 at this time?
aye?
Aye. Any opposed?
Everyone except 490.
Okay, so we have affirmative collectively from 478 all the way down. Commissioner Griffin is stating, you can say, state it on the record, Commissioner Griffin.
Yeah, for the record, I have some questions that I want answered.
She's stating for the record
Yes,
490
for
and
the
no.
record, I have questions that I need answered, and that's what I would like before I, would give it an answer, yeah.
Okay, so were you able to collect
Yeah,
that? So,
I'm not sure, is that a
so,
nay or?
No, I'm not going to.
So you're a
No.
yes for everything except 490, correct?
Excuse me. No, Rahima. Yeah, I was answering a no.
Yes.
It's a no. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for clarity.
Thank you. All right, are you all set, Clerk Nguyen? Do you have the
I am, ma'am.
information?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we're going to move into the legal audit resolutions. This is a motion for Resolution 491 through 493 and 501 at this time. Entertaining the motion.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy. Seconded by Commissioner McCullough. Open for discussion. Being no discussion, 491 through 493 and 501, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I'm sorry, Commissioner Griffin, did you say you have a question?
Your microphone. Your microphone, Griffin.
What is the resolution number?
It's 496.
496 is not in this set of resolutions, I don't believe. Let me make sure
I
I'm
thought
not
did she just
mistaking.
call that one?
I said 491 through 493 and 501 are the resolutions on the table.
And 501, I'm sorry.
All in favor of 491 through 93 and 501?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we are looking at resolutions corrected or added after the work session. This is number 12, and Commissioner Griffin, this may be where your question is, and this is entertaining a motion for these resolutions. That's 494 through 500. How are we doing this? This always turns into, I'm going to be good at some point with this, because what's happening here? It looks like there's a request for a walk-on resolution. That'll be numbered 502.
Correct. President Simmons, I would recommend 494 through 500 first, and then you can address the walk-on
And then
separately.
entertain that one? Okay, so entertaining a motion for 494 through 500 at this time.
I have a question.
Commissioner Feynman?
For resolution.
Motion, ma'am.
Oh, moved by Vice President Malloy. I need a second by Commissioner Feynman. And we have the open for discussion, so I'm going to go to Feynman. I see you, Dr. Jackie.
So for Resolution 498, I'm assuming, and I don't want to assume, so I'd just like some clarity on why we're paying for meals at MCC. I'm assuming those are for students like at early college who are going to, okay. I appreciate that, thank you.
Commissioner Griffin?
I have some questions regarding 496. It had to do with the program for the children, for the refugees. I just want to kind of some more clarity on the actual resolution. Like, the people, the instructors that are over this, are they multilingual? How are they addressing the students? You said that it states here that there's a welcome to our school's curriculum. Who's actually presenting that? And how does the New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance play into it? I don't think I've seen that before. I know we have a lot of community programs here in the city that work with our refugees. And I'm just interested on how and why they are not actively involved with the schools that are dealing with our refugees or our multilingual students that are affected. So can somebody answer those questions?
If I can ask a request, if you can repeat the questions, because I unfortunately didn't hear the questions clearly.
No, I'm concerned about this resolution because I'm not certain of the individuals that are presenting it are multilingual. I'm just trying to understand, if we have refugee students, a lot of them that cannot speak the English language.
Right.
So are the people that are over this program multilingual? What are the
Yeah,
dynamics?
these are the individuals that are part of this resolution are teachers that are teaching over at our RIA program. And as we know, our RIA program does support our multilingual learners. So the teachers that are listed here have a familiarity with our children. They work with our children each and every day. This particular resolution really speaks to a refugee school impact grant that we have, and it's mandated that we have a refugee mini academy. And what we're looking to do through this resolution is to obtain board approval to have these teachers who work with our students over at RIA continue to work with our students in an expanded capacity in the refugee mini academy that's outlined in this resolution.
Okay, and let me add to this. What I'm saying here is I know some of these teachers are not multilingual. They actually just speak English. But another point that I'm trying to make here is that we have local community organizations that could help and assist. I see here that you have New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. Have we ventured out to the community-based organizations that can help uplift this program as well? That's a big concern of mine, that we're not using some of the boots on the ground community service organizations that can help and assist in with our refugee students. So that's a big concern of mine, because I think we need to add those community organizations as well to assist in this. I know about RIA. I know all about RIA, but I'm concerned about that. So that was one of my questions that I had. And to make sure that we have the right individuals in front of our children, not that we are as good as our leaders, correct? So we want to make sure that the individuals that are in front of our multilingual students, that is meaning over 2 languages, maybe 3 languages, we are able to address their needs, because thus far we have not been able to do that outside of the Spanish or Latino language. So I just want to make that very clear, that we are addressing the needs of all of our children and the right people are in front of them. Thank you.
Were there any further discussion items under these resolutions? Okay, I just refreshed my board docs, so give me a moment. With that said, this is resolutions 494 through 500 that we're voting on right now. So all in favor of those resolutions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to waive the 48-hour rule. Let me just get down here real quick.
Motion.
Thank you. Commissioner LeBron, second by Vice President Malloy. And this is the 48-hour rule or law for 502. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and 1 nay. And this is entertaining a motion for Resolution 502.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy, second by Commissioner McCullough. All in favor?
Aye.
Or any discussion on that? With no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We have 1 nay. Thank you. Motion carries. We're going to move into the written reports, and that would be our attendance, suspension report, and real team progress update that we were provided for review. Any questions on these reports or what have you?
I would just, if I could, I just
Commissioner Griffin?
Thank you. I just wanted to give information to the listening public for the record. I've been on the team, the real team, for the last several months. And I'm going to let you know, really, to the public, that they've been doing a lot of work and have done a lot of work over the years. And I think it is really, they need to be commended for all the work that they have done, and they have not been commended for all the work they have done. So at this time, I would like to thank them personally as a commissioner for work that they have put in over the years and never, ever been commended for the work that they've brought and would like to bring forth to the district. And I think that if one would give them the opportunity like this is happening now, we will really see how helpful they really could be to the board. I would like to also thank Dr. Wright for taking the time and being a leader with the real team. I know sometimes it's kind of stressful for her, but she's really manning it as a chief, and I mean as a deputy. So I really appreciate that. But I think that it's a lot of good information that's being given. There's a lot of people from the community as a whole that are working together to resolve some of the disparities in this district. So again, I just want to applaud all the members of the real team and I thank them for all the work they have been doing all these years and finally having a voice on the dais. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Griffin. Superintendent Rosser, we're moving into unfinished business, and it looks like we have a presentation from Oracle, or
We do.
from you regarding Oracle.
We do. So thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to provide our board with our monthly update on Oracle, our payroll situation, and the next steps we're taking as it relates to exploring other platforms. So Mr. McDowell will provide a very brief presentation on where we're currently at with Oracle. Mr. McDowell?
Thank you, Dr. Rosser. So if we can move to the first slide. The first slide, we've decided to bring you to 2026 and start in January. January, we show that we had about 439 JIRA tickets that were outstanding, and we've worked diligently to decrease that number from the initial 1,797 in October to this number in January, and we're going to continue to work. It's all hands on deck. We still have our groups from Nova Modus and from Cherry Road here to help us. And as you can see in the next slide, that 439 had decreased to 319 in February. Couple payrolls since that, actually 3 of them, and now our number's down to 214. So from 17, basically 1,800 to 214, about 87% of the issues that we had known at that time have been identified, corrected, and those are on top of the over 1,000 or 1,500 that we handled in between those times. So we're doing a great job, or a better job, of identifying issues and then resolving them when it comes to the actual JIRA tickets that are being sent to us.
And Mr. McDowell, if you can make a few comments on, what does payroll look like in terms of, our employees receiving their salaries every other week in
Right.
comparison to several months ago in the fall?
Right. So several months ago, it was 12, 15-hour days. It was all staff. We would run payroll the week before. Then we'd run payroll over the weekend, and then we would run payroll again on Monday, so that we could be ready for Tuesday, Wednesday release. We don't have the weekend run anymore, but we still do have our daily chat rooms. Those are consistently going on. Again, for like this payroll that's coming up next week, we lose a day. So we've run payroll once already. We'll run it again on Monday so that it's available for site on Tuesday. So the level of pre-work is helping a lot.
If I can just make clarity to one point. I believe you said that the payroll would then be visible on Tuesday. This is actually Wednesday. We submit payroll to ADP on Tuesday. Am I correct with that?
Not next week, because
Next week is different?
we don't have Friday. We don't work Friday, so
Okay.
we have to back up a day. So everything will be visible on Tuesday.
Perfect,
Because
perfect.
people will get paid on Thursday.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that clarification.
You're welcome. So some of the other updates, W-2s. We have resolved practically every issue with W-2s. As reported to the superintendent a couple days ago, we have less than 5 issues remaining, and those are unique issues, and that's no different than what we would have in a normal school year. So those individuals we have spoken to, and we will resolve those in the next couple days. When it comes to ERS, TRS, ERS is in a much better position than TRS. Our ERS is up to date in regards to web submissions to the state. TRS is not. TRS, we're still having major issues when we submit what we thought they've wanted and asked for. They've kicked it back. So a decision was made last week to stop using the model that we were using and to redevelop a new one. And I'm hoping the new one sometime next week can be submitted and actually be accepted by the state. Once we get one, we'll get 6 of them. We want to make sure that we do this right, but we sent the other file down at least 8 to 10 times, and they've kicked it back. We just don't believe that that file itself is going to be acceptable. General ledger. We've spoken about the general ledger, and you hear me talk about it when we talk about grants and things like that. I am here to tell you that We have seen some progress with this. Now, we did have to develop an internal committee, and it's taking our accounting staff, for the most part, two of them, to specifically work on our general ledger issues. This is outside of the box, outside of using the platform that Oracle gave us, but we have seen some progress, and we are in a place where I think and feel that as we continue to deploy these resources in this way, that we'll catch up with what we're doing with the general ledger. So I'm excited about that, but this is still reporting from October. We still have a lot of work to do. So the team reports to me on a every other day basis to let me know exactly what the status is. The next meeting is Monday, and my expectation is that by next week they'll move into the November reporting and start getting some of these reports sooner, because last thing we can do is to get to June and July and still be back in January. That's not going to work for financial statements. So we've got a lot of work to do, but I'm excited about some of the progress I've seen in the last 2 to 3 weeks. Nova Modus, with the work being done, we've had to ask them to help us a lot more than we expected. Our initial request was for 160 hours a month for them, starting in January. Unfortunately, with the W-2 issues and all of the help we've needed, those numbers are closer to 1,200 to 1,500 a month instead of 160. So there are going to be some reconciliations that will be coming to the board, and I shared them with the superintendent. At the end of the day, we have to get people paid. We do. But we're going to work on, how can you say, decreasing our reliance on Nova Modus so that we can actually do it in-house, but there's still some work to be done there. Lastly, exploring another platform. The RFP was released 2 weeks ago. Initially, we were going to have it due to us on the April 10th, but we've decided to move that date back a week. And a lot of it's because of what is going on next week. Many of our vendors and many of our staff will not be here next week. We had a couple really important meetings set up for next week, and what I don't want to do is piecemeal this. I don't want to do this halfway. We have to do it the right way because it's that important. So we will expect to have these responses due to us on April 17th.
And then, Mr. McDowell, can you articulate what the timeline is once we receive the responses from those vendors who believe they have a product that is best fit for Rochester? What's the timeline for review and potential bringing a recommendation forward to the Board of Education?
Our goal is to have some recommendation towards the end of May, but my expectation is that it's going to hit your June board agenda, because again, these are going to be voluminous responses. We're going to have to not only do reference checks, but also talk with some of these groups to make sure we know exactly what they can do. And those are going to have to be on site. We're going to need to see their systems. So to try to turn it over in 5 weeks, I just don't think is something. I don't think we can do our due diligence in that amount of time. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
and I thank you for, having the frame of mind that we need to get this right.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely need to get this right because, what our employees had to deal with, particularly at the beginning of the year, even though things have greatly and drastically changed where things are more stable and consistent, we do not want to create another event as we saw at the beginning of July 2025. So thank you very much for your leadership and your attention to making sure that we get this right for our staff and the organization.
Yes, sir.
I have a quick question. So I agree with you about piecemealing, get it together and rushing it. Up to this point, have you received any proposals yet?
We haven't received any proposals, but I've at least 4 or 5 companies have called me directly.
Okay.
And I won't mention their names,
Nope,
but
nope, please don't.
I'm very excited that we have the excitement around participating in this.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, I've received 4 calls from Oracle. in regards to it and how and why. And at this time, since the RFP is out, I really can't talk much about the process. You know, if they have any questions, they have to legally put
right,
them in
right.
writing, and then we'll address them. And we're supposed to address them tomorrow.
Okay.
But many of our people who would be our leaders in certain departments aren't here. So last thing I want to do is try to answer questions that unfortunately are sophisticated and are specific. So we're going to move that question and answer period
That
until
went back
April
again.
7th, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Superintendent Rosser.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McDowell, for your leadership.
You're welcome.
We're moving into second readings at this time. These particular readings, once complete, if we move them forward, they will go, move forward to the May business meeting for, is it May or April? May for final voting, it looks like. It's supposed to be April. So the April business meeting for final voting. And these are policies 0150, 0310, 0320, and 0400. These are open for discussion at this time.
I do have a question. You said 310, right? Yes. So for 310, can I ask my question now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For 310, how does this policy ensure that our self-evaluation measures, whether we are improving student outcomes, or are we simply assessing our internal process as a board? Like, how are we looking at, this is for discussion for us.
What's your question again? Restate your question.
Restate my question. So my question is, how does this particular policy that we're doing a self-evaluation, how is it measuring whether we are improving student outcomes, or is it measuring simply how we're assessing our internal process as a board? So are we applying our goals to this? Are we just looking at, go ahead.
Can I add for?
Malloy?
Yeah, this is just our internal processes. It's my understanding, just from what I'm reading here, that we're not actually looking, this isn't part of the progress monitoring towards those goals. It's my understanding this is just our board operations, how we operate as a board.
And so my pushback is, if as a board, we're supposed to be operating, and our operating is supposed to be going towards student support or student goals, right? The outcome of students, then what are we actually monitoring then? How we talk to each other?
What was the last part of it?
What are we actually monitoring? I think Beatrice looked up. She's like, you got something to say?
So
Could you-
operating procedures, how we go about our day-to-day business. And I think that you and Commissioner Feynman, being newer to the board, have gone through some level of onboarding, as we all have. And what we've identified is that there are several gaps in our onboarding. Our learning curve is impacted by that. And frankly, we don't do things the same. And so that causes a great deal of confusion as we engage with administration, go into our school communities, and function as a board. And so I do think that I think there can be an and. Two things can be true. I think that there can be a monitoring of how we are holding ourselves accountable towards student outcomes, but I also believe there could be some form of monitoring of how we, or I wouldn't say monitoring, but how we develop our operational procedures to ensure that we're moving in a succinct fashion, not robotically, but something that is aligned versus all over the place.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, it's not about how we're moving the needle towards student success. It's more about how we're creating procedures and systems for ourselves as a board, correct?
I believe so, which ultimately can lead to student success if we're not all over the place
Right.
and pulling the superintendent in 20.
Right, so is there no measure of that in this?
We could probably develop that, and
That's
that
what I
that
was
might be
thinking.
something that could be separate and apart. I'm going to give this to Clerk Wen for a quick moment.
That's a great question. So the tool under the SOFG model that you all have adopted is very specific. It aligns with the first 6 or so pages of the manual, the ones that you see that has the colors across. And so you as a board are evaluated on all those same things. And this is something that you all will be going over and addressing in your April 19th and 20th two-day CGCS workshop.
Thank you.
Does this align with the conversation we were having with the, around the operating procedures, the handbook?
there's some component of that in there.
Okay, and so is this where the ad hoc, maybe, because I know there's been conversation around that, but
No,
that's
the
not
tool
here.
is standard across the SOFG districts, so it's not something that the ad hoc committee would necessarily be editing, but they will go over the tool again in your 2-day and kind of walk you through how to do it, and you all will do some self-evaluations.
Gotcha. Okay, wonderful.
That makes sense.
Any additional questions
Um,
on any of the resolutions? We have the superintendent's evaluation listed here as well.
I have
Commissioner
a
McCullough?
question. I have a question for the 321, which is the superintendent evaluation. For the goals and guardrails language, where it talks about, in the end, the board will evaluate the superintendent based on their performance toward that second paragraph. Can we add a piece that talks about the board shall base its evaluation on objective evidence, including data from monitoring reports, progress toward board-adopted goals, and adherence to the guardrails? Can that be added to this piece so that it's clear of what we're doing with our evaluation?
I concur.
See why it may not be added. I know that the progress monitoring that's being set up by CGCS includes the progress monitoring, the regular reports that we get. So it's embedded in the practice, which is implied here. But if you feel that it needs to, be explicitly stated, which I don't have any objection to, if you can provide the language to Clerk Nguyen for that.
Can do that. And only because, more so, just to give you a little background for me, is while it's implied, we're all not going to be here forever. So when the next people come up, they may not see that how it's implied in there. So this clears the way for any misunderstanding.
Correct. And as we said, I'm amenable to that. Can you provide some language? Okay, thank you.
I do like.
Commissioner Griffin?
I just have to say, a lot of the policies are implied. So, I think we see that a lot of the policies are implied. I'm glad you picked that out. But I wish that we were cohesive on implementing and instead of making it implied, making that language in the policy so that we wouldn't have that nuance there, that
Yes.
people thinking.
Yeah, that's the
thinking and
purpose
imagining.
of the statement, that
Well,
these
no,
is
I understand that, President
Yeah.
Simmons. I'm just saying, I just concur, and I think that there's a lot of policies out there
Right.
that are just like this one. And if we moved in that direction that he just did, that
Yes.
to Commissioner McCullough's point, then we would have a lot of less confusion on the dais or in behind the scenes with these policies. If the wording was more direct.
We are
Yes.
actually having a conversation of agreement right now. And so with that said, if you have any suggestions or any particular policies where you see that information or language is implied and you're saying, hey, I would like to see this more explicitly spelled out, please develop that language and bring it forward so that we can take a look at it as we are tonight with this particular policy. Do we have any other questions at this time?
Thank you.
Okay. So Clerk Nguyen, with the, Commissioner McCullough is going to submit some suggestions, and how does that work? Well, would the suggestions just be there at the time for the next meeting? We can debate on that then, or
So I would
develop it as we go?
Yeah, so I would suggest you provide the language to me in writing, and then at the meeting where you all will vote on it, you will first vote to adopt that language and embed it in the final
We may have
adoption.
time at the work session, too, to look at that again.
You
too,
can
right?
motion
Do you
to
think you
add that
might have
language
it
there as
before the
well.
work session?
Ooh, is that on? Yeah, I can send it to your email, and then you can just have it right then. Okay.
Perfect. And that way we can have an opportunity to take a look at it. Thank you, Clerk Nguyen. With no further discussion, I believe on any of the policies, entertaining a motion for moving these policies forward to the,
President Simmons,
Yes.
they automatically go on.
oh, they
to
are
the-
moving
yeah.
forward because we're good.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm ready to vote on everything. Okay. All right. So the second readings are moving forward to the final business meeting in April. And we're going to move on to new business now. We do have the board calendar here, draft calendar for 26, 27, which includes our slated work sessions, speaker forums, business meetings, and the like. You know what?
I have a silly question.
Let me just, give me 1 second, let me just take a pause. Okay, so kind of unrelated, but I'll tee you up anyway. I told him you would. So we saw a calendar on here, and we do have our student rep here, which we are so grateful to have this evening. Initially, we were thinking a different calendar for some reason, and this is more so the board's work that's happening. However, Mr. Spada does have a statement he would like to make in regard to considerations for our calendar for next year, and I would like to allow for him to state what he and the SLC have been working really hard on. I'd like to extend that opportunity to him. So, Mr. Spada, when you're ready.
For the board, I'm sorry, President Simmons, for the board calendar or the school calendar? You all just voted on
This is for the district calendar,
Oh,
so
okay.
I apologize, I'm going a little off kilter here, but I do want to extend this as he's here this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. We, as the SOC, would like to remind the board that the SOC did vote on the approval of an Asian Continental Heritage Month campaign to be a permanent campaign within the RCSD calendar, and we are asking for the board for consideration to vote on this addition for consideration for a motion to vote on this addition in the month of April. One of our students was looking over the official proposal review that was voted on and had suggested tweaks that would overall change the proposal to the board, and it would require us to revisit this matter in our next meeting, which is after this board meeting, which you guys, as I have seen, are going to vote on the official calendar for next year. If we cannot get this campaign to be voted on for the year of 2027, 2028, we are asking if we could have you guys vote on this matter for the year of 2028, 2029. But we are trying to push for it to be next year because we want to promote we want to increase the promotion of minority ethnic groups within our school district. That is all I have for you guys. I concede the floor.
I have a question for clarity.
Thank you,
Yes, Dr.
Mr.
Freeman?
Spada. Commissioner Feynman.
Thank you. So it's my understanding that you want to, as we have Black Heritage Month, Spanish Heritage Month, we want to add Asian Heritage Month, correct?
Yes,
Thank you.
of course.
Thank you.
Why aren't we doing that?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Spada, for your advocacy. We are at the board calendar under new business at this time. This is for 2026, 27. I want to turn the mic over to Clerk Nguyen, who will present some of this information to us and then allow for us to have a little discourse.
Thank you, President Simmons. So Commissioners, in past practice, after you all vote on a district calendar, we present the board calendar. So this is a draft version of your calendar, which is very similar to what you've had this year and covers all of your meetings. In addition, we've included conferences that you typically attend. The highlighted items I just want to bring attention to are things that fall off of our typical cadence. So if you recall, the second Tuesday is your work session, the third Tuesday is your speaker forum, and the fourth Thursday is your business meeting. That is the typical cadence of your meetings. However, in some months, as you see, we had to make a variance from that for a number of reasons, and so that's what's reflected in the yellow highlights. In addition, there was I added in a special executive session to address superintendent evaluation versus doing it at the end of a business meeting night. And so I would just ask, there's no vote on this right now. I would ask the commissioners review it in anticipation of voting on it at the April business meeting. Please share any feedback so that could be included in future discussion.
Thank you, Clerk Nguyen. Were there any clarifying questions to Vice President Malloy?
Yeah, I'm very tired, so I'm sorry if I missed something that you said. The highlighted dates, what are those again?
Those are dates that stray from our usual cadence. So for instance, July 14th is, I believe, the second week of the month. And so we are combining the speaker forum, which typically happens in the third week. And that's due to just availability of staff. So things of that nature. No problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Clerk Nguyen. At this time, we're going to, Commissioner Feynman?
I just have a question, because again, this is going to be our first year for Commissioner McCullough and I to have some of these conferences. Is this something that President Simmons will take into consideration who goes to these conferences, or is something that, as a board, we elect people to go, or we are opted to go, or?
No, it's a free-for-all. No, just go to the conference. No, so what we typically have done is we have the opportunity to sign up for conferences that interest us. Their descriptions are there and so on. And, ideally, you do want to go with a board colleague if you can and learn together. I've seen a lot of boards do that, which is always most beneficial. But that it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you may be the only board member going to a particular conference. But State Monitor LSA has developed a system for us. So given the conference and the descriptions, we would submit a request. You would let me know that you're interested in going or what have you. I'm not necessarily saying yay or nay. State Monitor will take a look at that description and ensure that what you're looking to go to aligns with the expectations and take it from there. We are expected to, after attending conferences, to come back with some form of a report as to what we learned and hopefully share some of that learning as we grows. That's the high level, but that's typically a yes.
I like the 30,000 feet.
Okay.
Thanks.
We flying high then. Okay, any other questions or thoughts there? With that said, we are looking at first readings. These are regarding policies 0110, 0115, 1900, 1900 E1, 1900 E2. Let me refresh my board docs.
We're here. That's next.
Okay. Okay, so we have policies in their first readings,
Refresh it.
0110, 0115, 1900, 1900 E1, E2, and E4.
There should be a budget calendar item there as option B, right under the board calendar. Is that
Oh, it's
on?
not, it's got first
slipped on
readings,
ours.
and then it has the revised budget calendar under
Is your
it.
board doc still circling? Oh, I'm sorry, never mind. My apologies, President Simmons.
No worries.
It went in the
So,
wrong
as I
section,
stated,
but
19
we'll keep it in
E1,
that
E2, E4, 4314.3, 4710, and then 4710 E1. Thank you, Clerk Wayne, because 9 times out of 10, I would have missed it. So with that, we have these policies on the table, and they are slated to go, these are at their first readings. If we are comfortable with this language, we can move them forward to the second readings, or we can have some discussion. So I want to open the dais at this time for that. No discussion on these items. And so with that, we will move these forward to second readings. We still have time to, if we identify something, to have further discussion before final vote. Go ahead, Commissioner McCullough.
Okay, it just dawned on me. For the grading system scale, the grading system, I'm sorry, for the grading system 4710, I was looking at it, and I'm just curious as to if we should, so right here, 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs down, where families shall be provided a written report card for 4 times a year regarding their child's progress in coordination with marking period end dates. Should we be considering adding a progress report, a 5-week progress report in here? And the reason why I say this, is that there was a question that was put on the board, on a question log that spoke about this, and in the response, it was stated that this was usually best practice and was done by the teachers in the classroom. So if that is best practice, but it's not done district-wide, why aren't we doing that district-wide?
I appreciate that question, and that was the question that I posed on the board log as far as wanting to see progress reports. I don't think that at any point in time, especially given our ELA math and science scores, that parents should be caught off guard. And we know that it is partnership, but we do want to know that we've taken every measure to ensure parents know how their child is performing academically. I also recognize we have Power School, or I don't know what we have. We have some kind of tools where parents can check in. I don't know how that looks, but how are we doing? No, I used it before my son was in school.
Yeah.
But I want to know what we are doing to ensure, to Commissioner McCullough's point, how we are getting progress reports standardized in front of our parents So they know, and we know that we've communicated how their child is doing.
And if I can add to that, I'm sorry, Commissioner LeBron. I just want to say real quick that I know the students and the parents could go online and look at them, but some of our parents don't even have access to it, and the digital literacy for some of them is not up to par for that either. And I know that there is something in here, I believe, where it says they have 2 opportunities a year to go and learn how to access it through parent engagement, but we still want to try to meet them where they are, and that's not happening apparently.
Understood.
I'm sorry, okay.
Commissioner LeBron?
I do want to just uplift, like, when I get progress reports for my daughter through Power School, she had to show me how to use it. I want to just put that out there. So our parents may not know, but our kids may be able to help us. Maybe they may not want to show parents their progress either, so there's that. I also do get, from her particular school, so I want to uplift that this may not be universal, not just her report card, but with the report card, there is typically some additional feedback from her teachers, and then I'd go to the parent-teacher conferences. And there are times I can't physically make it there. I'll email the teacher and try to schedule either a phone call with them. But I say all that to say to any parent, you have a right to just always ask your school principal, your administration, the teachers, where your child is at. Or where they're progressing, and I would encourage them to be proactive about that. We should not be waiting for a teacher or the district to like flag it, because they may not. They may be overwhelmed, and I just want to uplift that they have so much stuff to do too. So those are all the ways, and then I just want to uplift that some of our schools actually independently use other tools, and they will let parents know, which are much easier apps to use, where they can have progress and pictures. I know a lot of our elementary schools do that. But yeah, to have it. But I also just have to say, I would caution around adding any additional progress reports through policies. At one point, we were literally, it felt like 1-to-1. Every policy had a monitoring progress report. It's unrealistic for the administration to sort of be going through policies. They would literally be working to generate reports. And I can tell you in 10 years now on the board, which is crazy, commissioners don't do anything with it. Y'all look at these things and then y'all do nothing. And it took hours and days on end to put these reports together. And then I have not heard one commissioner read any of those reports and have a genius idea that was going to change the system. So I just say all that, right? Because I do think that there are better ways to monitor progress in general and get the information that we're focused on getting. But I would just caution, because we literally went through, and this was in the Distinguished Educators Report, we went through all of the policies to minimize and reduce the required reports that were tied to, so I would hate to go back to that, because literally we had to do that as we were required. So that's all.
Thank you, Commissioner LeBron. And again, a progress report does not have to be an extra written one, but I do take your duly noted. But I do want to know that we have some form of standardized practice that give parents a pulse on how their children are performing in the district. And however simple that can be, do it, but however complicated it may be, I'm not sure. But parents need to know how their kids are doing. So if there's a mechanism that is present, making sure parents know how to use it. And just I want people to know how their kids are doing.
And I just want to clarify, I'm not looking for a report for myself or for the board. I'm looking for a 5-week report for parents in between the marking period. So it's a 10-week-long marking period. They have 5 weeks. Where is my kid at? Even though I know they can access it. It's more so on, like, I'm an employee of students, and I use those progress reports to determine if they're going to stay employed, or if they're going to be working hours, or if they're going to go home and do more work and get them grades up. So I'm just, how are we doing that in that sense, if that is best practices, which is what it was said?
Okay, with that said, are there any additional comments on these first readings for the policies that are in front of us at this particular time? No additional conversation. These first readings will move forward to second readings.
Yes.
All right. We're on to the revised budget calendar.
No, I'm
No.
sorry.
Oh, Lord.
Well, I just would ask the board if you could maybe skip down, because unfortunately that budget calendar item got placed in between two things that are connected, so the first readings, and then D is a motion to accept revised language for, based on your conversation around the parent engagement policy, moving that report from April to September. And so the budget calendar agenda item should not have been put in between those two. So just to keep cohesion in what you all are talking about, you might
Okay.
want to take that motion now.
All right, so motion to accept the revised language for policy 1900, parent and family engagement policy, to engage in the deliverable annual reporting from April to September on page 10 of the policy, to read, to ensure that parents and family engaged practices that are implemented with fidelity annually, and the superintendent or designee shall provide to the Board of Education a consolidated building level and district level evaluation of the content, implementation, and effectiveness of this policy in September of each year. There is a motion on the table for that language as stated. Entertaining a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner McCullough. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Clerk Nguyen. And so now we'll move back to the revised budget calendar at this time. Is that for you?
Dr. Rosser, did you want to speak about the budget calendar? Oh.
Refreshed, okay. Looks like Board Docs is kind of having a mind of its own. We're going to just refresh for a moment. I'm going to move on and then come back if we can. Let's have the conversation with data requests while Dr. Rosser works through the technical difficulties. And so on agenda item E under 16 is the data request. We as a Board of Education, or many of us, express an appetite to we recognize we're supposed to be moving toward progress monitoring with Council for Great City Schools. And at one point, we had an ESA committee, and we were able to get a pulse on, again, student outcomes, which is what our main objective is. You previously received an email with some ideas around data that we would like to request as we wait to move toward the progress monitoring piece with CGCS. And I'd like feedback now around the data. The data are aligned pretty much with our board goals, so not anything too far off the beaten path for what we would be receiving once the progress monitoring is in place. But I think there is some form of clarity that the board needs to provide on how we want that data to be presented, if that makes sense.
Are you asking how we want it to be presented? Is that the question you're posing to us?
Yes, so
Simmons?
it's a two-part question. First and foremost, I provided, based on conversations with multiple board members, an idea of the data we're looking for. And so this is a time to say, hey, we'd like to see this or that, nothing too crazy.
Well, I think that if we go back to, just to reflect back when we had the ESA committee, I think there was conversation based on the information that was provided prior, which was pretty detailed. And if it isn't, well, it was broken, but I think we can fix it by bringing that back. That was pretty detailed information that was brought to us by the ESA. Outside of that, I would say the data should also include information regarding the contracts that we have, giving us at least a 2 to 3 year information about those contracts and the success of them moving forward, so that we're not inundated with contracts or fulfilling the contracts for a one-hit wonder or abusing the monies in the district when it comes to our students and their achievements. I think that is very, very important. So those are the areas that, including what I said with the ESA, but in addition, that in reference to when we're talking about contractual agreements with outside entities, I think that a lot of the stuff actually can be done in-house, and we shouldn't have to go outside as we do as much. If we can keep the money more inside, we wouldn't lose as much. And it can be better evaluated as well. That is something we probably need to address. I don't know if that's something that we can look into as well, but as far as the data, I would concur with you in your previous way that you did it when you were on the ESA board. because that data did come plentiful, and it kept things in order. It kept us abreast of information too. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Griffin. I do want to recognize that the ESA committee, that we had a lot of data. To Commissioner LeBron's point, I think they say when you know better, you do better. And so we've, it's really about filtering out what's really necessary for us to have a pulse on and what was excessive and apart from. And I have to say that those meetings were long. Those meetings were like 2 hours. I went and looked one up the other day and I said, wow, it's crazy, right? So how do we make this digestible and relevant to the direction we're looking to move toward? So these are consistent with our board goals.
Can I
They
be-
include literacy and mathematics, grades 3 through 8, ninth grade credit attainment, high school graduation outcomes, special education performance and compliance, and then some fiscal compliance indicators. I think that, I'm sorry? We have Isaiah on the thing. Oh, thank you for, Commissioner Santiago, welcome to the meeting. Glad you are able to join us right now. Does he have a hand up? Is that what you all are seeing? Okay, thank you, thank you. I did not see that you had a hand. I'm going to finish up, and then I will call on you for sure.
Okay.
The objective is to request the high-level data in a presentation style, and I do want to validate that administration, because I know we've all been like, we ain't getting no data, we're not getting any data, but there has been data submitted. And they've been submitted through the Q2 progress report, through the academic plan. There are links in there, and when you click on those links, there's a multitude of data points that are available. So it's not necessarily that data has not been provided to us, as much as it is, maybe we would like to see it in a certain way. And that is up to us, our onus, to provide a little bit of clarity around those data points. And again, I do have to align with Commissioner LeBron on not getting too deep into things that we're really not going to use. But how our children are reading, that's a goal. How our children are gaining credit attainment, that is a goal. Graduating on time, those are goals. And so those are the things in which this conversation is set up on. Commissioner Santiago? And thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to agree with you, President Simmons, that they should be around our district and our board goals. But also, I think that we should consider, possibly looking at our students' well-being. I know that that's a little bit more difficult, but there are surveys that our students take, and I think that we should possibly consider getting reports, on our students' well-being, the progress of that. And our school climate. I know that that's, a little bit more in the weeds, but it's definitely an issue to consider, and an important issue for us to keep up with.
Thank you very much. Commissioner McCullough?
I just wanted to reiterate some of that, and is when it comes to the data that we were seeing, there was some data that was there that we had to fish for. And when I mean fish for, meaning we had to go into the reports and locate that data and start analyzing and going through it on our own. And I personally feel that that's something that we should not have to do. I feel that that is something that should be presented to us so that we can make clear determinations and informed decisions as a board. So that way when we see the data, we can then focus on how is it improving our goals as a board. And just for example, there were 3 reports that were put in tonight for the attendance, for the suspensions, and there was some very disturbing information within those reports that I'm going to just put those questions on the question log so that it gives you time to go in and look at those to be respond to. But that information and that data that was in there also aligns with how our students are getting their credit. For instance, with the 9th graders, if our students are with the ELA, if our students are being suspended 1 in 3 out of some buildings, how is that focusing on our goals? How are we getting to our goals if we have 1 in 3 students in some of our buildings being suspended? So this is the data that we want to see so that we can then say, hey, what is the systematic processes that are happening within our buildings that are getting our principals on the same matrix when it comes to suspensions.
This is
What-
good.
and
So I'm
these are the
glad we're
things that
all in
looking
alignment
for.
with this
I'll shut up right
conversation,
there.
and we feel the same way about what's being said, and that's why the conversation on the table is for us as a group to provide clarity. I'm not sure what's happening, to provide clarity on how we would like to see it, because we are recognizing it exists, but it may not be amenable to how we would like to receive it. And so we need to, I'd like us to, maybe we need to move it to a work session, because I think this is going to get longer. So we'll start the conversation, and then we'll move it toward a work session, but I do want to just allow us to just I think this is good to be having this conversation around thinking around how would we like it. So we know we would like a presentation, but I also don't expect someone to sit here for 2 hours and present a bunch of data, right? And so how do we get these quick, high-level reports that are digestible, meaningful, and they get to the point without getting too far into the weeds?
President
What does
Simmons?
that look like?
This is on your, will be on your April 7th work agenda because the district will be presenting your draft monitoring calendar, which covers all of the data you'll receive in alignment with the board policies, the state monitors plan, and the CGCS requirements for the board
And when we
goals.
get to that point, because I know I mentioned that earlier in the president's report, that we're moving that way, I think we've kind of gotten antsy because we haven't been getting it in that manner. When they go over that with us in April, how soon will, after that, should we start to see it?
So you all are, my understanding, the timeline is the draft is being presented in the work session. You will vote, because you have to vote on the monitoring calendar in April, and monitoring will begin in May.
So they'll be providing that. So we're actually there now. We're actually there. But Commissioner Griffin, I think I saw your hand.
Yeah, I just want to make it very clear. I think we need to really be careful of our wording when we're addressing the public. And some knowledge might not be or time consuming for us or for some people, but the public wants to know. So I think that we need to be very, very careful in our wording so that, we're not ruffling the feathers of the people that have us sitting here to do a job. These meetings may be long, but we also need to be very transparent with the people that support us and deserve to know what's going on in this district with their money. I think that is very, very important. So I just wanted to put that out there. They need to know the information. We have a failing district, so I want that to be clear that the information, some of the information may be convoluted, but there's some information that we can dissect from what we had before to make sure that our public understands what is important for us to move this district in a positive direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thus the existence of the ESA committee. And you all are welcome that I brought all that data. And so now the beautiful thing is this, what Clerk Nguyen just said. We've grown antsy because we had the lack of that data. And now we started to say, hey, we need to see it. We haven't been seeing it in the way that we're used to or like to. But what was just clarified is next month, on April 7th, CGCS will be with us. I believe they're going to have an example of some data to use so that we see in real time. The graduation data will be used as an example for us to view. And starting the following month, the data that we're looking for in the progress monitoring that we were like, this is taking too long, is going to be there. And so the viewing public and the people who are concerned and want to see and understand how students are doing are going to get that information starting in May, which is, late for us, but right on time because we're having this discussion. So we're there, thank God. I heard there was a hand on the screen, and before I move over to the dais, I just want to make sure I'm not missing it. Was there a hand?
No, I just wanted to agree that it's also important for the public to know what's going on, and I think a lot of the public in the past has used the board meetings, to stay updated with the progress of our students, and so I do believe it's important for us to bring this back to the public meetings.
Very excited for that. Were there any further comments on this topic? Okay. Lord. Okay, so we are moving back to the budget calendar at this time.
Yeah, thank you very much, and my apologies that my computer wanted to do a little dance on me.
Sitting next to me.
So one of the things that we would like to bring forward to the board is, you heard myself and the state monitor articulate, there's some things that are still going on with our budget. The team and I have been working diligently almost every day in identifying additional opportunities to shape our draft budget in a manner that most certainly will address the needs of our children. As I shared earlier, the signaling that we're getting from state representatives is that they will not be prepared by April 1 to pass the enacted budget. So therefore, what is being requested is that, given the fact that the state will not have their budget to us by April 1st, that we do have a little bit of flexibility in providing the budget book publicly as well as to the board a week after the original date, moving it from March 31st to April 7th. That's the request and the change that is in the budget calendar.
Okay. Thank you, Superintendent Rosser. Were there any questions regarding the information presented on the budget calendar? With none, I'd like to entertain a motion. Where are we going? Executive session? Do I need to read it? Oh, the motion.
Budget calendar.
The budget calendar, okay. I scrolled down. I was ready to go. Okay, so, sorry. Entertain a motion by Commissioner LeBron, seconded by Vice President Malloy. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so the revised budget calendar is adopted. And so at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion. The board may convene in executive session to discuss matters leading to the employment status of specific individuals, matters leading to the appointment or removal of a particular corporation, and/or to discuss matters of concern and pending or current litigation with general counsel. Entertaining a motion to exit into executive session.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner McCullough. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Executive session will take place on the second floor.
We're not coming back here.
Exit out of executive session from the second floor conference room. Thank you.